more history in your community that maybe you're not even aware of.
Pain was interfering with Tiffany's active lifestyle. Same-day hip replacement at the Adina Orthopedic and Spine Institute got her back to the community she calls home. At Adina, we do what we love, so you can too.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike Smith for Litter Media. We've been taking you on a tour of some of the Ohio historical markers in our community. Wherever you're watching this from, chances are you have a marker comparable to this, talking about a historical event in your community. We're just urging you to take the time to stop and read what's on these historical markers. You might be surprised at the history that's in your backyard. Joining us, we have local historian Kevin Coleman of Intrepid Heritage Services. And Kevin, this marker in Chillicothe, Ohio, tells the story of Abrams Big House. And this goes back to the days of the Northwest Territory.
Yes. Chillicothe was platted in 1796, and it was a great site, and it pulled the capital of the Northwest Territory from Cincinnati in 1800. So this Abrams Big House was a log building that stood on the site. It was a tavern, and taverns, inns, were the hotel, motel, bar, restaurant, and convention center of its day. And so a lot of public events were held there, including the territorial legislature.
And how long did they meet in this structure when it was here?
Just a few years, because Chillicothe became the capital of the Northwest Territory, reorganized in 1800, and then we got statehood the winter of 1802, 1803. So not too long, but enough for some pretty exciting happenings.
As the marker tells us, that building with that big log house, which was referred to as Abrams Big House, was raised in the year 1840. You know, we sometimes forget that a lot of the buildings in that time, not everything was stone. Some of them was wood, like a log house. Was that deliberately taken down, or was it destroyed by fire? What was the story behind that?
No, it was dismantled, and I've heard that some of the logs found their way into timber in the commercial buildings across the street. It was a few years later when the Great Fire swept through Chillicothe, but the building had already been dismantled, and it disappeared in the wave of progress.
Kevin, while we have an opportunity, you offer tours many times during the warmer weather seasons. Talk about some of the tours that you offer at Intrepid Heritage Services.
Well, in the colder months, I offer presentations. In the warmer months, walking tours and driving tours. If you're here, you've got family or friends, or if you're coming into town, I can hop in your vehicle and tell you what you're looking at as we're driving around, or I can drive you around. Or I have more than a dozen walking tours of the downtown, and one out in Buzzard's Roost Park, where up to about an hour and a half. I don't want to tire out my customers, but I can tell you anything I can about everything you see.
And I think you said you offer one also of Grandview Cemetery?
Yes, I try to offer that around Memorial Day, so I can give some context for what you'll see during the Memorial Day, the actual ceremony.
And if somebody wanted to get in contact with you about a possible tour, how would they do that, or where would they find information about an upcoming tour?
Well, if I'm organized enough, I'll have it on my Facebook page. You can find Intrepid Heritage Services on Facebook. I also have a website with a blog, which I need to work on, intrepidheritageservices.com. And you can also find me in the phone book and email ihs@horizonview.net.
Kevin, again, thanks for your insight, your expertise on local history. Again, Ohio historical markers, they're all over the Buckeye State. Take the time to stop by one near you and find out about the history in your backyard. For our producer, Aaron Glandon, and our local history expert, Kevin Coleman of Intrepid Heritage Services, I'm Mike Smith for Litter Media.